Hey guys, welcome to the SimRacingPaddock. I'm William Marsh, and we are going to be test driving a new BTCC NGTC, wow, that's a mouthful, mod for rFactor 2. So this mod actually was initially released back in, I think, September or October last year as a league-only mod. Now, with some refinements and new improvements, today they just released this new mod as a public release. So this is simulating 2018 to 2017, I think, eras of the BTCC championship. Note that I do not have too much knowledge on this, so this should be interesting. I want to test drive these cars, see how they feel, see how they drive. Also, an interesting thought. In the trailer for this mod, as well as some of the images, I've been noticing this racing alongside the official first-party Honda Civic BTCC and GTC race car. Even though that car is years older, I think it would be able to be raced together with minimal bounce of performance, I think. So I want to make sure that I have the Civic set up for my car. So let's see real quick. I'll just jump to the workshop. I think I have it though. So search Civic. Yep, I have it. So we can fire up rFactor 2 and we will take this mod for a spin. And we'll do it around a variety of different tracks. I want to see how this performs at Sebring, because Sebring, very bumpy track, would unsettle the car. And also it's the new showcase track, like flagship track for rFactor 2. So why not take it for a spin? But hopefully everyone's week is getting off to a good start. Today is actually my mother's birthday, so she's been out and about with friends and having a good time like that. So, hold on a second, turn off studio mode, wait for rFactor 2 to fire up. But yeah, so with just this week so far, spent some time in the morning with my mom, hanging out, and then she's out with friends and her boyfriend, so it's like, yeah, fun day, and can still get some racing in. So let's take a look and see how we should test drive. So I'm going to save Sebring for later, actually, but we can go, I think let's do Silverstone. We'll go with Silverstone, the GT layout. And then we should see BTCC, I think. Also, another thing I want to try out later, maybe in this stream, is the Bluebird Triple S. Because, fun fact, this was my first car. The Datsun 510, also known as the Nissan Bluebird, was my first car I ever drove. Or, not first car I ever drove, but first car I ever owned. So would be very excited to test that out. So yeah, it's interesting. So we see 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018 cars. They raced the national layout? Okay, thank you. So it looks like there is still a little work to be done. This looks like it is version 0.9, and we are seeing no car icon there. But I'm interested in testing out this Subaru, partly because I've never heard of this specific model. So it should be exciting. Okay, first impression, great livery. This livery looks really good on this car. The model looks to be sufficient quality, especially for a free mod. This isn't payware or anything like that. And it looks good. You can even see the steering wheel hanging up in the showroom. It's times like this when I wish with rFactor 2's showroom, you would be able to actually open up the doors, get in the car, but it's fun. And then you can change between standard gear ratio and longer gear. So it's the availability to increase gearbox ratio to allow higher top speed for AI on tracks such as Thruxton. The tire selection, standard, medium, and hard. Availability of tires restricted to hard and wet as used only at Thruxton. So it's simulating some of the rules that were utilized in BTCC championship units. Or not units, races. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to do an open practice with some cars, 6 p.m. Yeah, why not do some... or let's see how this goes. If it rains, it'll rain. But I'm not going to deal too much about it. We'll do 5:30 p.m. Does anyone know if you can watch a BTCC in the USA? I'm not sure, and that's something that irritates me. So, this year, I was wanting to watch the 24 Hours of Spa. So, it was last night, I had nothing better to do, so I decided, okay, let's watch the 24 Hours of Spa. I checked my Comcast cable. I don't see it. I don't see any indication of it. I look in the motorsports section of the guide. No 24 Hours of Spa. And then I tune in online. I look up the official Blancpain GT series website. And I see the watch live. And I click it. This is geo-blocked in your area. You can search Daily Motion for other streamings or anything like that. And it's like, really? Really? And you wonder why so many Americans watch it or just watch NASCAR. And Carl, I would love to do that. Nismo TV and GT World have the stream geo-blocked in my area as well on YouTube. So you can't watch it on YouTube either. So you can't watch on YouTube, you can't watch in the official GT website, and you can't even watch it on freaking cable TV, which is the reason most people, it's geo-blocked. So it's one of the biggest races in the world. Biggest races in the world, and us in the United States aren't even able to watch it. So it is very, very frustrating. Hold on a second. Have to adjust my degrees of rotation for SimiCube. So we will do that real quick. This car utilizes 800 degrees of rotation. That's intense. And I'm going to adjust my strength down to 27%. It was interesting. I was testing Sebring with the GTE mod in that community live stream and stuff. And literally, I had I was sore for a day and a half because of that. I was sore for a day and a half because of rFactor 2's stock version of Sebring. So, I'm going to attribute it a little more to possibly crazy settings. I don't think it's just the wheel. I think I need to fine-tune some settings on my rFactor 2 installation. And then when I do that, I'm likely going to make a series of open sim wheel content, or open sim wheel configuration guides for different sims, because I think that could be great for people. So, Shane, I forgot to put a link in the description. If you go into the Steam Workshop for rFactor 2, just look up BTCC, and you should find it. Okay, this car is a little on the quieter side. Sounds pretty mixed. So you can clearly hear the engine on the right side. So it seems like it is all right for being able to hear the engines and stuff. So again, we are driving the Subaru. I totally forget the name of the model. I've never heard it. of it in the United States. I think it's the Levorg. Forced feedback. So it is, I think, a little less harsh than the Civic, but not much. But you can definitely feel when it's understeering. So I think this is a little less harsh, a little more smoothened. But still, it's definitely a front-wheel drive race car. It's very interesting how it's such throttle on oversteer. I'm curious if this is just front-wheel drive or if this is all-wheel drive, because I think I was reading some of the specifications for the next-gen touring car, the NGTCs for BTCC, and I noticed that it is not just front-wheel drive as I misinterpreted in the past, but also there are the ability to have some rear-wheel drive. And I think there are provisions in the rules for all-wheel drive, if I remember correctly. But I can tell I'm slow with this car. Because front-wheel drive requires a totally different mannerism to drive. So that's a Subaru behind me as I drift it. So let's see how this guy drives. So yeah, this is the Subaru Levorg as it says on that car model. But the car model looks good. It fits the standard for a quality rFactor 2 mod. Because we have definitely seen poor quality rFactor 2 mods, and those can look absolutely horrible. This one actually looks pretty good. Okay, we're closing in. Dang it, overcooked. We're gonna hit him. Okay, Major Hobbit, thank you for that clarification. Thank you. So now we're way behind that guy. And tire's a little flat spotted. Go figure. But yeah, first impressions, fun car. Gotta be careful with it though. Not much downforce, which is, I think, fairly common with touring cars. Drift. This doesn't feel way too grippy, in my opinion. I mean, it definitely is on the grippier side, but I would definitely say it's not too grippy. So let's see if we can put down a hot lap with this car. Ease into that apex, swing it out, a little slideways. I have no clue if this is even a fast way to drive this car. Generally, sliding is not a fast way. But yeah, this being rear-wheel drive, it does fit with the characteristics, because generally with front-wheel drives, it would be more understeer on throttle. Yeah, from what I read on the Steam Workshop, they're going to be working on the Volkswagen CC and the Ford Focus RS. I'm kind of excited for that Focus because it's a fun car. Okay, so go down to fourth. Little lockup. We're okay though. But feeling the way the tires are sliding, it's very satisfying. It's similar to the feeling of what we were getting in the GT cars, in the GT Power Pack and stuff. Hey, Ferson, how's it going? I'm definitely excited to see what ACC is going to bring to the table. Because, yeah, we've been waiting for a while. We finally know when we're going to get our hands on it first, and we'll see and hope for the best. Christopher, there may have likely been. This one covers, I want to say, 2015 to 2018. But 2015 is only one car, so I'm not sure how well it covers that era. Work on the drive off. There we go. That's going to be good for a few tenths, I think. But it seems like the AI is quick with these cars. Or I'm just dangerously slow. Dang it. Lost some ground there. Life is about racing. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. I wanted to watch Spa, but all the streams of the actual broadcast are geo-blocked in my area. I made a little rant about it on the Twitter page. And then I also just was a little busy today. Today was my mom's birthday, so a large part of this morning was dedicated to just spending time with her. Come on, get that drive off. There we go. Hey, Jefferson, how's it going? Trying to push, see what this car can do. Six tenths up after first sector. I'm not sure if I'm just not aggressive enough with this car. So yeah, Solojutsu. I was talking with Renee, the guy that we were seeing on the community live stream a couple days ago. I was talking with him on Facebook, and I was telling him, yeah, I get the CPU usage issues as well when I'm streaming. And he was like, yeah, we're looking into solving that, making it work better. So they are still working on trying to do a lot more in the way of performance enhancements, so let's hope that'll actually work. Hey, Rossi won. I'm happy for that. I like Rossi. He's a good driver. Kind of got the shaft when he came to Formula 1. Hit that last curb. Jefferson, yeah, I'm looking into that. I recently made some renovations to the studio, so yeah, I'm working on the idea of a pedal cam or something, a secondary camera. I don't know if it's just setup or something. Why am I just incapable of getting past the AI? I need to turn AI down a bit, but let's watch the exterior view for a little bit. Like a quick lap. I always loved the camera angles they put into this version of Silverstone. They did a good job. Maybe not a big fan of this angle because it's a little boring, but it is kind of close to real life if I remember correctly. Just see the cars fly down. But for F1, it's a little faster. See the brakes glowing. Nice touch. But yeah, just seeing what Studio 397 has done with the different elements of rFactor 2, it's simply staggering. And it's a tricky situation because there is so much work that still needs to be done with optimizing rFactor 2, making it look better, making it perform better, bringing the user interface out of the 1990s. But still, I think that rFactor 2 is one of my personal favorite sims, and for good reason. The feeling of driving these cars is simply sublime. And yeah, I just really wholeheartedly enjoy it. So let's jump into another car and test this out. My fastest lap was a 217.1 with the default baseline setup. So 217.1 is my best with default. Andrew Jordan with a 215 though. How is he getting 2 seconds off? Okay, Garoomba, that might be something. So they might have simulated the balance of performance pretty well in this then. So this would be MG6 GT AMD with auto aid. Let's give this a try. So again, this is an MG. MG, actually, there are surprisingly few new MGs in the United States, but I see quite a few classics. So I guess either they had a presence back in the day, or it was just something as simple as they stopped making it around here. So let's do some rain. And then, depending on how long this goes. There we go. So, light and saturated. I'm guessing that's for the rain. So, let's try this out. Darion, yes I am. I'm using the large midge open sim wheel from SimRacingBay. If you want to find out more information, I have the information on my hardware in the description for the stream. Jefferson. Basically, one of the things that is tied in with rFactor 2, it's called Steam Workshop. So this is a third-party car, but also the majority of first-party content for rFactor 2 is in the workshop. So you get to pick and choose all the content you want a la carte. So you, if you wanted to download Silverstone, go to the workshop, download pick Silverstone, and it'll automatically download. Majority of the Steam Workshop content is free, and then some of the content, such as the GT3 Power Pack, or what else? The Endurance Pack and the new Silverstone, those are paid DLC, so keep that in mind. Why? Okay, so turn number 6. There we go. Okay, this is definitely front wheel drive. You can tell the difference. Because you can, like, when I accelerate, you can feel the wheel try to straighten out. And if you're hard on the throttle, it'll torque steer. So totally different feel for this car than the others. Let's check something. So this does not have ABS or traction control adjustment, which is part of the new feature. Hummas, thank you for subscribing. And life is about racing. I have not tried Sebring in this stream, but on Saturday I do have a stream that I did a lot of driving on Sebring with. And I also took part in the Studio 397 Community Day that was the other day. After that, my arm was literally sore for 2.5 days, though. It was kind of funny. Alright, that track is so bumpy, and I think with the way I had it set with my OSW, it was a little harsh on this right shoulder. So I was like, oh man, it hurt to lift my arm above my head. I'm not sure if I just like whacked something out of alignment or anything. I'm doing a lot better now, though. I have not used Crew Chief. I still need to figure out setting it up for everything. But later on, I'll try it, make a video about it or something like that. Christopher, third-party HUD still work. Thank you, Godaruba, for that input. Oh, the gears are too short. Such a weird sensation. I just realized I might be on slick tires because apparently rFactor 2 has issues discerning rain when it comes to setups, so I might need to adjust that. A life is about racing. For variety, I really like the Endurance Pack. The GT3 RSR Porsche, or not GT3 RSR, the 911 RSR GTE Porsche. It's one of my favorite cars in all of rFactor 2. But I just think that in terms of sheer quality at the moment, the GT3 pack is the slightly more polished. But yeah, there's both. So I'm going to make a video talking about this, but I think Studio 397 needs to look into having a season pass for rFactor 2. I know season passes are extremely controversial in the gaming world, especially in the sim racing world. But the thing is, rFactor 2 is an extremely small outlet. I want to say their staff is south of 20 people. So there are less than 20 people working on rFactor 2. The fact of the matter is, they need to make money somehow. They don't have the resources to do an insane amount of development. They don't have the time as much. And my thought is, what if they had a season pack? So what if all the content was available for $40 or $50? Similar to what Race Room has. And I'm thinking that if they did that, a lot more people would be susceptible and inclined to buy this DLC. Yes, we are doing medium tires, my bad. So next lap, we will go to wets. But yeah, so my thought is that rFactor 2 almost deserves a season pass. So people are really able to have what, in my opinion, is some of the best content available. Because the GT3 Power Pack and the Endurance Pack, those are pieces of content that downright are some of the highlights of rFactor 2. And this is going to sound controversial, but I wholeheartedly believe that the Sebring track is worth the $10, and that is exactly why I think it should have been free. I think Sebring should have been a free track. I'm not faulting rFactor 2 for the quality of work they are putting in. That goes without saying. As mentioned, it is worth $10. But think of it from a marketing standpoint. Think of it as a standpoint that you're trying to market rFactor 2. Market it as the most authentic simulation on the market. The problem with that is, yes, rFactor 2 is the most authentic simulation on the market, but you need to pay money on top of the base sim to experience it at its highest fidelity. Sebring would have been the greatest track for them to showcase all of what rFactor 2 has to offer. It is the home of the Sebring 12-hour race, so you can showcase endurance racing via that. And then when the driver swap feature is more refined, hopefully in the new UI update, then that means you can have the driver swaps showcased. You can have rain showcased because it's in Florida. It rains there. And realistically, they should have made Sebring free. Because the thing is, they would make more money off of new people jumping to rFactor 2 because of Sebring than existing customers buying Sebring. They need to try to find ways to sell rFactor 2, not just sell DLC. rFactor 2 has been in a lot of trouble lately, but it is digging itself out. For the heck of it, I was looking at Steam Charts, which is one of the websites you can watch game statistics for people who are playing games. And rFactor 2, prior to the news that they were being bought by Studio 397, they were getting on average about 300 players per day on rFactor 2, according to Steam Charts. Since Studio 397 took over, that number has essentially doubled. So, really, Studio 397 buying rFactor 2, or buying the rights to rFactor 2, and what they're doing is making a real difference. But the issue is, a lot of the differences they are making... Wait, did I speed? How did I speed? I have this pit speed limiter on. But yeah, so The thing is, with the way that Studio 397 is running it, it benefits the other drivers that already own rFactor 2. It doesn't really benefit the person looking in, asking the question, should I buy rFactor 2? That's kind of the problem. And I think the idea of a Season Pass DLC would keep rFactor 2 from going full flight sim. As you know, in the flight simulator world, every car, every track is bought a la carte, or not car track. Every plane, every airport, every scenery is bought a la carte. And that's not what I want to see happens to rFactor 2 and sim racing in general. When will I be playing rFactor 2 online with subscribers? When I find a way to get a good, stable server setup. I'm looking into the option, definitely, but it takes a little bit of time. I need to figure out how to properly configure my firewalls and systems like that. Also, get it running fairly stable with minimal lag. That's another problem. But I definitely want to join in with subscribers. That's something I definitely want to do. And I just realized something. When I jump out of the car, it would have put me back onto medium tires. So that's why I was having such a hard time. So go to wet. And let me check something. Change the gear ratios. I wish you could adjust the final. Make it a little longer. There we go, that should be better.
Data logging disabled.
Yeah, Shane, that's what I'm saying. Because the thing is, one of the fears I'm going to assume that so many people have for rFactor 2 is, when are they going to stop with all this DLC? Because, think about it. We have the GT3 pack, we have the Formula E pack, we have the, so GTE, Formula E, we have the Endurance pack, and now Sebring. That's $55. That is quite a bit for relatively limited content. Oh yeah, and Kart Sim too. And the issue with that is simply, think about if they add more. If they add an F1 series pack, if they add more Formula E tracks and try to pay for it, or have you pay for it, that, I mean, simply that $55 for all the DLC could quickly balloon into over $100 for the DLC. And the problem is, I could not recommend spending over $100 in DLC for rFactor 2 for the most part. Because the problem lies in what other value you're getting from other sims. Because Race Room, you can buy all of that content for about $60 to $70. That's the problem. They need to be doing more to widen the fan base. They need to do more to bring more people in and not just keeping people. So, yeah, imagine if, say, there was an announcement that said, oh hey, we're bringing the McLaren F1 and the Bugatti Veyron Legends of Speed pack or something like that. And it's $30. Most people are going to balk at that. If they do that same thing and say, oh yeah, by the way, it's free, then I think a lot of people will be like, oh snap, I'm jumping on. And then also, there is, like, they need to fix the base for rFactor 2. That's a huge thing. Because think about it. Think about what is going on. Outside of leagues, multiplayer is non-existent. Assetto Corsa has a small, or relatively smallish online presence, but if Studio 397 gave you incentive to drive online and did things like matchmaking, or at least had hosted servers, then I think it could be a lot better. William, please test this car on Villa. Real WTCR. I don't know what that is. Sorry. rFactor 2 came 3 years too early, in my opinion. I'm not going to dispute that. It really did launch early. And I know a lot of people, especially myself included, were like, when's rFactor 2 coming already? We were impatient. But that was because rFactor was really relying on brand name. If you think about how rFactor 2 was set up, it was going to be definitely like the successor to one of the most popular sim racing titles of that era. And that really was a big thing. rFactor 1 was a huge sim racing title in the late 2000s. Around 2008, 2009, there was so much content. I mean, it's simply staggering. Let's put this in perspective. There was likely 5 times more content available for rFactor 2 on rFactor Central than there are people playing rFactor 2 right now. That is simply staggering. Like, there was just so much mod content for rFactor 2, it wasn't even funny. You had everything ranging from NASCAR to Formula 1 to touring cars, even driving a giant toilet, if you remember my April Fool's video. That was insane. It was really ahead of its time. It had day to night transition. It had weather swaps in an era where most sims did not have that. And basically it is something where rFactor 2 was hoping to build on that legacy, and I hate to say it, but it took too long, and at the same time didn't take long enough. So I am going to jump into another car and see how this goes. But this Vauxhall, it's okay. I'm not a big fan, or not Vauxhall, MG. I'm not as big a fan of it, to be perfectly honest. I really preferred the feeling of that Subaru, which might just be attributed to the difference between front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. So let's jump into a different car. I want to change the weather too. So let's... But also, I'm going to continue on this mini rant right now. So one of the things that's weird is we talked about it in my previous stream, I think. You can only change the real road when you are set to scripted weather. Scripted weather is the only weather preset that allows you to change the track rubber. If you change the weather, then you are locked into a preset. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. That makes no sense to me as to why they would do that. I'll just do Sebring for this time, for the heck of it. We'll do this full layout. But yeah, it's like, just think about that. It should be the same. It should be a system where we should be able to change real road for like any of these weather presets, because just saying, okay, you want to have heavy rubber on the track, simulate a race session, but at the same time you just want to have overcast weather? Nope, you can't do that. It's like, it's a pain. Simple enough. It's a pain in the butt. But hopefully that can be changed in the future. Maybe they will address a new UI. Please, please, please. Glad you like that quote, Erudzitis. But yeah, I'll have to maybe... I mean, I hate doing rants. I try to be the optimist as often as I can, but simple enough, when I try to look everything through rose-tinted glasses, then sometimes change can't be done. Sometimes you have to call people out on crap, even about titles and systems you care about. So yeah, rFactor 2 still my favorite sim, but there's just so much that needs to be done. And at the same time, like Jefferson, I don't think you should be too worried. We've seen how much rFactor 2 has simply evolved in less than 2 years. Back in the fall of 2016, that's when Studio 397 took over. And at that point, rFactor 2 was left for dead. rFactor 2 was left for dead. It was in development limbo, essentially. It was still stuck in DirectX 9, which is the standard of 2005. I had no word on VR support and everything, but since Studio 397 took over, it's an all-new title, and I'm so used to... or wait, how do you get out? Oh, that's the exit right ahead of me. The shadow looked like a wall. I'm an idiot. Headlights now required. Okay. And we're out. Do I consider rFactor 2 to be the real simulation platform? Well, that's a question that, to be perfectly honest, I hate. I hate because the thing is that so many different simulation titles are totally different compared to each other. And they simulate other parts really, really well. So, for example, I'll take iRacing. iRacing would be the real simulation platform for the best online experience you can get. That is undisputed. The championship format, the pick up and play format, it's all refined to the point where it's almost a science for them. And it's something where, at the same time, iRacing might struggle a bit with the physics side. rFactor 2 does great with the physics side, in my opinion. It really is something where they do a great job. But at the same time, it's the little things that cause the issues. It's the, look at the shadows on my windshield. The shadows in most situations for rFactor 2 are one of my least favorite elements. You can clearly tell the difference with the levels of detail in the shadows, which is something you don't want. The shadows aren't really too sharp until they're about 5 feet in front of you. They need to refine that. Sometimes on the HUD, the numbers will just clip in first-party content. It's those little things. But a lot of the simulation elements for rFactor 2 are great. It's just other things that cause problems. So there's that. Assetto Corsa, fun to drive. Might not be the most realistic in my opinion, but it is a great sim to drive. Problems come when you try to address it as a racing simulator. Assetto Corsa is a great sim for the short pick-up and play events. It's a great sim for, say, doing 20-minute races like what I do in SimRacing System. But when you try to do endurance events, if you try to do a race that's multiple hours, that's when the cracks really start to show. For example, not being able to have the element of being able to adjust your pit settings without a keyboard. That is something that's very frustrating in Assetto Corsa, because that means you have to, in the pit lane or while you're driving, you need to actually have a keyboard. So you would have to have the keyboard mount or pull up my keyboard, put it on my lap while driving. That pulls you out of the immersion. At least when you're adjusting with a key or with a wheel or a button box, you have the luxury of pretending it's real. Like pretending you're talking to your crew chief or something. So I understand why a lot of people like crew chief, because I think you can make those adjustments. But yeah, Assetto Corsa more of a sprint driving sim. rFactor 2 is more oriented towards endurance, and all in all, you can find your simulation of choice. That's the great thing with having so many different sims available. You can find one to simulate whatever you want. And in terms of feeling, it's also subjective because of the nature of force feedback. Because the thing is, force feedback is unrealistic to an extent. Force feedback is meant to compensate for the lack of the seat of the pants feeling. Force feedback is meant to compensate for the lack of the rumble, the G-forces, and everything like that. So, with how that works, with how everything is suited, force feedback is inherently unrealistic. Force feedback is inherently unrealistic, and that's not a major problem. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because the force feedback is meant to communicate to what the car's doing. But at the same time, everyone's interpretation of force feedback is subjective, because titles intend to do it differently. Some titles, they like adding additional effects, they like adding other elements, other layers, other nuances. Some are just content with simulating the steering rack, and those force feedback elements could be perceived as more dull. For example, iRacing comes to mind. iRacing's force feedback, to some people, it's great. To some people, it's piss poor. But ultimately, what it comes down to is what you are looking for out of the communication with the car. So, for example, I take my Volkswagen GTI out on the road, and the forces I feel through that steering wheel are totally different compared to the forces that I would feel through this force feedback wheel. And that's because I have the ability to feel G-forces throughout my body while driving my car. I have the ability to have that seat of the pants feeling, and also feedback through the pedals and through my feet. All of that is not present in a simulator. I don't have my butt kicker on, so I'm not getting my butt kicked. I don't have anything submitting feedback through my feet. I have no G-forces being enacted on me. So, with that being said, it's not a bad thing that force feedback's unrealistic. It is a bad thing when people start saying force feedback is realistic, and that you're an idiot if your force feedback expectations don't match theirs. So yeah, that's my thought on what's the most realistic sim. For me, personally, rFactor 2. For others, it might be different, because they're expecting different things out of their simulation experience. But ultimately, I'd say there is no wrong answer. Unless it's Need for Speed Shift 2. I'm just being funny. Actually, Shift 2 with a mod is half decent. But yeah, bottom line, sim racing is diverse. Enjoy it. Okay, so this is a fun car and all, but I think we have one car left, so let's give that a test. And then we'll do a short race, I think. How did you even know what DSG gearbox was for auto GTIs? That was good. Did I mix something? I must have mixed something that someone said. So last up, we have the Vauxhall Astra. Let's take a look in the showroom real quick. It's funny, FIA World Championship, Formula 1 World Championship showroom. So I guess that defaulted when I downloaded the F188 mod. But that's a pretty cool looking car, all things considered. Do something at night. Okay, we will try at night. So we'll do... we'll do 10:30 p.m. Why not? I'm going to turn down the strength, though. They need to fix the way these sliders work in rFactor 2. Another mini rant, but it's life. So, Sebring at night. Let's do the club layout, though. Club layout should be fun. It would be cool to see Studio 397 get the McLaren F1 license. And I think that really they need a modern era Formula 1 car, because there's no way that they can market themselves to F1 fans with the 2012 Marussia Formula 1 car. I mean, some people could be extremely diehard, but for a Formula 1 fan, a McLaren would go a much farther way than a Marussia. And also, let's take that further. Imagine if they could get the McLaren MP4-4. But Hummus, the question is, do you think that with the technical partnership with McLaren, that could bring the technology for hybrid systems to be simulated? I've tried the F1 ASR mod not years ago, like maybe a year to 2 years ago.
Data logging disabled.
So, this is the Sebring Club layout. I have not driven this layout in rFactor 2 yet. So it should be interesting to see how this is. But yeah, these technical partnerships are what is making rFactor 2 great. They're getting the technical partnerships, and we're seeing great things coming from it. And I am... excuse me. I'm really hoping that at least some of the cars from McLaren aren't going to be new GT3 cars or GTE cars. We have the McLaren GT car. We need something a little more snazzy, I think. So if we get something like a Formula 1 car, that could bring in so many people. And then, say, a classic Formula 1 car. Imagine, as I said, McLaren MP4-4 or MP4-8. And I could really enjoy that. But yeah, it seems like night racing also has improved in rFactor 2 lately. The lighting looks great. Maybe not as dark, but also consider there are lights all over. Seems kind of hazy, maybe a little foggy. Consider Sebring would be close to an ocean. Yeah, closest we have to the Trans Am from Studio 397 would be like the Houston Dissenter, which is like historic. Leonard. It was kind of funny though. So, a year and a half ago, I got to meet Mamo Gidley, who was that driver who recovered from that horrific accident at the 24 Hours of Daytona. He's a local driver to my area, and I got to meet him back in, I think, last year, so last summer. And it was his second time back in a go-kart. And he was partnered with this team that was doing e-karts. He was driving a standard, I think, 125cc shifter kart. But his teammates, they were driving electronic karts. And those those e-karts are insanely fast. Those things are so much, I didn't get to drive them, but the low end torque and everything is just insane. El Julo, hopefully you enjoyed the track. It's a lot of fun, it really is. I'm testing out the club layout with these BTCC cars, and it's pretty fun. It's giving you some major weight transfer in some of the corners and stuff. Gearing might be a little short in 6th. Well, it's borderline, I'll put it that way. But this car is actually geared well for the Sebring club layout. Super Pixel. I'll try it out sometime. I'll have to look it up. E-karts with a V8 sound? That's funny. I'll do a dedicated video for the F1 ASR. I think that might be a little better, and can see how that is. Going for on the inside, no contact. We're good. Little dive bomby, but we're okay. He's still on my side. Accidentally hit that cone, and we are clear, but wow. Okay, that's a little foggy, hazy. So it seems like they have that kind of simulated, where it's a little foggy, maybe humid. TM Gaming. Yes, so they had, it was a, this was a league-only mod last year, and then they refined it, and it had its first public release today. This is a tricky car, though. It's fun, just tricky. Hey, Super Pixel, my bad. Thank you for subscribing. Sugar Pixel, that would be an interesting name. But it's interesting seeing the fog coming in and out as you're driving. Which is sort of how it goes, driving through fog. So you can see the fog is significantly less here one lap later. El Julo, thank you. But it's interesting seeing how this is. This is the Vauxhall Astra BTCC NGTC car. It's fun. I'll give it that. It's fun. It's a bit of a challenge because I'm not used to driving front-wheel drive cars, but this is pretty fun. What's interesting, just mash on the throttle and you feel the torque steer. So that's where they exit the pits. Let's try a little bump. Nope, totally missed that. Little bump. I got more unsettled by that. So you can see a little CPU strain. That's why this car is jittering a bit. I've been talking with Studio 397 guys. I'm really hoping they fix it sometime. Boop. Pit maneuver! That did not work! I'm not Jimmy Broadbent. I guess I am failing a little bit at the punting. I have not heard of Honda City mod. I've driven that car in Gran Turismo, I think. Hey, I fail at being Maldonado. You've learned that. Wait, Formula Renault was canceled? Norman, I'd say that SimVibe and chassis, it works well. I've done that in the, I think it's the CXC motion rig, but I think that, yeah, a SimVibe, it would provide a little more depth than, say, just being 100% static. SimVibe works well. It's not perfect, but it works well. I'll put it, whatever that. Huh, they didn't list off my time this time. Slightly disappointed. But, oh, I guess it might be because lap time won't count or something. So let's do one more lap and I'll maybe try out some other mods. Why not? Alright, Shane, you have a good night, man. I'll add a link in the description for this car, too. I don't really remember that Mazda, personally. Well, little stutter there. Hey, the road on this track's already been ripped up. Okay, so this was a lot of fun. Now, time for trying out another mod, so let me do something. Okay, so lots of fun though. Highly recommend this mod. Great experience so far. So now let's try out some other mods. So that other one I was excited to test out is this Bluebird, because as mentioned, the Nissan or the Datsun 510 was my first car. Unfortunately, they don't have it in my color, which was primer gray. So I'll just do orange. Tuning, I don't see any other setups. Christopher, I have no clue what is happening in IndyCar, Iowa, I don't know. But yeah, interesting seeing how this is. Unfortunately, this is right-hand drive. My car was left-hand drive because America. But it'll be interesting because actually, I didn't have just one Datsun 510. My dad also had another Datsun 510 station wagon. So when I was 16, I had two Datsun 510s to drive. It was kind of funny. And then let's take this to Lime Rock if it'll actually work. So Lime Rock has elevation changes. We'll see if this car has enough power. And I think that's a little late. We'll do 4:30 p.m. Yeah. So yeah, fun fact, this was my this version of the car wasn't my first car. I had a 1971 Datsun 510 4-door sedan. And the previous owner, he put in a dogleg 5-speed gearbox. So first gear was left and back. It was, or let's see. So there was that. I had no e-brake on the car, which was kind of sketchy when looking back, but I didn't care too much because it was my first car and I just put it in gear and it wouldn't roll. So yeah. Later on, I found out that the previous owner was a total redneck idiot, and he actually wrapped the e-brake lines around the half shafts. So he wrapped up the e-brake line around the drive shaft. And one time, I was driving on a roundabout, all of a sudden I hear clunk, and I have no power whatsoever. So I was like, what just happened? Because, I mean, I'm 16 years old. I have no clue what could have happened. I was just scared out of my mind. Because with the car losing all power in the middle of a roundabout in one of the busiest streets in my town, I'm like, ah. Ultimately, I found out that, yeah, it sheared the half shaft and had to replace it. Fortunately, in my hometown, we had a Datsun specialist, believe it or not. So, one of our local shops in town specialized in Datsuns. So, I think it's like if you go to DatsunZ.com, that is the shop in my hometown. And they had two half shafts from a Datsun 240Z, which actually had the same drivetrain as a Datsun 510, so we were able to get that, and then we had the car fixed within 24 hours, which was nice. So we were fortunate, but could have been a lot worse. Kind of weird how the wiper's all the way up. I don't remember if the race car version was like that, but the road car wasn't. Okay, sounds are mixed properly, which is nice. But yeah, Solid Jutsu, that's my hometown. That's where they're from. And great guys. They gave me a killer rate, actually, when I had to replace a clutch in my Infinity. Because they were also Nissan specialists. So they gave me a killer price to actually replace my clutch in my car. I want to say they charged like $575 in labor, which is low in California. Other places quoted me like $900. But yeah, I have to replace my clutch maybe next week in my Volkswagen GTI, and it's like $700 labor, and I just bought the clutch. I bought a stage 2 clutch for $1,300. It's like, there goes my savings. All my savings are gone because I had to replace my clutch now. It's life, but yeah. So let's talk about this car real quick. At least this is quick. This is a quick car. So obviously it's not stock. The stock version of this car had about 90 horsepower. If I remember correctly, actually this car, this BRE style Datsun, or actually this isn't the BRE livery, but this is the, this would be the same as like the Datsun 510 race cars, and I think that this is using I'm guessing a Weber dual barrel carburetor, or a dual Weber setup. That would be my guess. The sounds, they're close. Sounds are close. My Datsun was a little, I think a little less bassy. So, the high revs actually sound pretty good, all things considered. High revs for this car sound decent. Nothing horrible, nothing great, but at least it's permissible. But I'm enjoying this car. It's a fun car. Steering. Oh! Boom. Oh! Big wreck. And let's see. Ow. And let's watch the replay. I oversteered and then overcorrected because you have to remember this car has such a short wheelbase. So it's snappy. And that car snapped. And boom, boom. If you take the clipping aside, that looked like a realistic wreck. So just the way the cars behaved, to an extent, a little more realistic than some of the crazier iRacing wrecks. And this guy, I have no clue what he was doing. He's trying to go full speed and then try dodging way too late, and boom. Whoops. Hold on a second. I'm going to make some changes real quick. Change the field of view, make it a little more pleasant. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to press. That's ABS. Where's invulnerability? Invulnerability off. If 0397 did soft body, we'd all be dead. So I'm going to try damage engine on and see, because I think it's inevitable that we'll wreck. But it's kind of funny. The engine in this sounds a little closer to, say, like the Ford Zaxpeed Capri Group 5 DTM car. Or not DTM, but DRM mod. So the DRM mod, the Ford Zaxpeed Capri, that's what this engine's reminding me of. Kind of funny. Nope, that's not going to wipe off any dirt. Whoa. Yeah, slide over the crest in a decent way. Arca brakes, yep, that's one way to put it. So, I haven't tested with the G29, unfortunately. Yeah, Solid Jitsu, I made a review of the DRM mod for Assetto Corsa, and that was exactly my same reaction. Old DTM cars for rFactor 2. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. I know, like, the DTM 92 cars are very popular, like, in Race Room in Assetto Corsa. I don't know if they are in rFactor 2 or anything. Whoa. Oh, little bump. Revenge! Now I know how Jimmy feels. Gotta admit, that was kind of funny, guys. But strangely enough, car's still tracking straight. This car handles straighter than my old Datsun. And I didn't hit anyone in my Datsun. Bye, Orange Part 2. Oh my gosh. Ah. Whoops. Okay. Gotta calm down a bit. But yeah, this car's fun. Okay, Soldier 2, that was funny. I'll give you credit on that. Oh. Whoa, no. Turn this car into a rally car. Alright, TM Gaming, you have a nice night. I wouldn't call that a fatal accident. This car has a roll cage. This car is SCCA compliant. It has a roll cage. Now, if that roll cage works, that's another question. Freight train. Oversteer. Oh, and he puts me in the wall. Okay, I want to see if we can actually wreck the car. Whoop, whoop. Wait. We're stuck. We got stuck in, well, that's interesting. Okay. Well, let's wrap up this car with a crash test. Because why not? So hit the wall at 60 miles an hour. And yeah, we survived. I don't think we should have, but we survived. That's another thing I don't like about rFactor 2. Damage engine is simply way too robust. Both for first party and third party cars. Granted, yes, the now the right front suspension's damaged, but at the same time, a lot more should be damaged. So again, we're going to hit a wall at over 100 miles an hour. Or 6, 8, 9. Yeah, okay, 100 miles an hour. We just hit a wall going 100 miles an hour. And what do we have to show for it? Just a little damaged suspension. Well, it's really damaged right now. You can see. I don't know if this car is even capable of turning now. Barely. But no damage to the engine. Fourth gear, turn, turn, turn. Okay, again. I know that's a tire wall, but that should have destroyed the car. And let's check something. I don't know if damage is set to like 50% or something. I wouldn't think so. But yeah, so hit the wall like that. That car should be totaled, regardless. And so, okay, 50% damage. But 50% damage with that should be hitting a wall 50 miles an hour. Should still total a car. Let's do a quick test with 100% damage. See if you can only total a car with 100%, which that would be bull, in my opinion. I know I'm kind of in ranty mode right now, but yeah. Hold on. This is a fun car, though, all things considered. But yeah, it's the little things again that rFactor 2 needs to work on, because I know people say it's a simulator, it's not a crashing simulator, but a racing simulator simulates racing. Crashing is part of racing. Especially, let's take into consideration endurance events. Endurance events, how you deal with damage in an endurance race is paramount in what happens over the course of a race. Because if you damage your aero, you have to calculate, is it better to come in and fix it? Or is it better to stay out and sacrifice that time and gamble that, say, other cars aren't going to catch you? So let's try again with this mod. I want to see 100% damage.
Data logging disabled.
Let's try to destroy this car. SIm Go penalty, I don't care. So we need to get some good speed, though. And if we do wreck the car in this first hit, I'll take back about half of what I said. But still, a 50-mile-an-hour impact should have totaled this car. Okay, so 100 miles an hour into the Armco. Okay, totaled in one hit. Phased through the tire barrier. And we lost a wheel. That's a significant impact. A wild one. I'm going to allow that comment so I can let the other people teach you a lesson. Strangely enough, interesting, fires coming through there. Didn't break the window. This would have been one of the instances where I think it would be permissible to break a window. But, wild one. Isn't part of my job to point these things out to the community and help titles improve? That's kind of part of the point of doing this for you guys. So, yeah. But, okay, let's watch that replay real quick. Ooh, that's a good angle, too, I think. So, boom. Unsettles the car. And bam. That's a brutal impact. But it's kind of interesting. It wasn't this initial impact that damaged the car. I'll allow that again. So, yeah. Okay, so Nissan Bluebird, fun car. Interesting behavior, but yeah, kind of to be expected with a short wheelbase car like that. So, next car I was going to take a look at, where is it? Oh yeah, the Emsa Gto Bmw 320 Turbo. So this was recently released as well. Car notes, interesting. Car specs. That's a cool feature that they put the specs right there. So, 870 kilogram car, curb weight with driver. 1,300 kilograms at max speed, so that's intense. 558 horsepower at 8750 RPM. Red line of 10,900 RPM. Brakes at a 5842 brake balance. Tires, optimum temperature range 80 to 105 Celsius. They did a good job with this model, I think. This model looks very nice. You can see the detail put into it. So that's how you zoom a bit. Sort of like the holes in the wing that you could adjust. So let's take this car, and where should we take it? So many options, so little time. Let's take it to Sebring again. This time let's do the full 12 hour. Hey Victor, how's it going? So again, this car Sebring should be fun. Unfortunately, I don't have an H shifter set up on this rig, so we are just going to have to just use my sequential. It's okay though. But yeah, this should be a fun car to drive. We will see how it performs, and yeah, I'm excited. Hey, Rashid, doing pretty well. How about yourself? Kind of funny. Put on Sebring, and we are going to bring in more people. Hey, Rashid, it's all good. We were trying to put that troll in his place. Basically, Wild One, he was throwing a hissy fit because I was doing damage testing. So, yeah. Okay, let's make sure we have the right degrees of rotation. 540 degrees. Go into SimuCube. 540. Save changes. There we go. I'm excited for this car, though. Look at the pretty good detail for a mod in this. Hold on a second. So the wheel rotation isn't 1-to-1, unfortunately. That's an interesting noise. So that's the noise when you turn off the pit speed limiter. Oh my god! What the? Oh, okay. Hold on a sec. Okay, this car has a weird behavior. Let's try this again. Hold on a second. Very, very low clutch engagement zone. Very low. Don't know why that's the case. Okay, this car can't be this fast in real life. That is absolutely insane. Oh my god. This is in miles per hour. This feels way too fast, though, for this era. Yeah, I don't think this car is the most realistic. Turn 17, guys. Brace yourself. How did this guy throw it in so hard? Oh my god. This is way too fast. And quite a bit too furious. So let's just watch this replay, because this is downright absurd. Yeah, so I have no clue what this guy was thinking with this car, to be honest. Because that's 149. Hey, Victor, if you see on the new title for this, it says whatever else mods I feel like. So I modified the title of the stream, by the way. But yeah, so this car is as fast as an LMP2. Why? Why? Let's watch this guy. So this guy's posting an LMP2 lap time. I mean, yeah, so this car's capable of it, but just seems like this is weird. Victor, yes, BTCC, lots of fun. I really recommend it. Hold on a second. I'll actually add a link to the description real quick. Let me just do that real quick. If it'll allow me. Because, yeah, want to at least get you guys to be able to use the car too, if you are interested. So let's most recent. For some reason, the most recent, this puts it in the second page, I think, or second or third page. Which it's like, okay, I think. But yeah, you guys should definitely try it out. It's such a fun mod. So, link in the description in a few seconds. Okay, give it a second. It should... Okay, changes saved, so if you want the link in the description, you can refresh. So yeah, that car is way too fast. Way too fast. Because Emsa Gto, I know those were fast, but really, LMP2 car fast? I find that kind of hard to believe. So let's see, what else should we try out? I'm partly curious to try out the EGT mod around Sebring. That could be fun. So yeah, let's go with that. Or what's this? Art. Oh, that's a modified Acura to be LP1. Spec Miata mod. I don't think I have that loaded. No, I do not. Sorry. So we were saying... so EGT 2018 Detroit. This car is so much fun. I really liked this car. So we will do Sebring. And we'll do a quick race too. So qualifying and race. 5 laps qualifying. And we'll do 7 p.m. 15. Okay, Dragon, you have a good night, man. So, time scale 10 times. That should be fun. AI strength 94. That should be a good experience, and we will match it with the GTE. So boom. Actually, there we go. 24. Let's change it down to 15 AI, so less CPU usage. So qualifying and race should be good. So when I initially tested out this mod car, it was quite a bit of fun, and then they recently redid the endurance pack with the latest update, and it was fun. But we'll see how this car still fits in. I don't know how well modified with the balancer performance and stuff. All right, Solidjutsu, you have a good night, man. But yeah, man, when I did my first, when I did the community event with Studio 397, afterwards, my shoulder was sore for 2 days. So you got to be careful setting up direct drive wheels. These things will beat you up. I'm just saying. Clint, yeah, it was about like 525 horsepower claimed in the car, but it's like, wow, that felt way fast. Like to the point where something felt off. This should be a little more fun, I think. Night race at Sebring. And then we qualify during the day. Hummus, I am in California, so that is, I believe, -8 or something like that hours behind daylight or behind GMT or however it is. So I'm in the Pacific time zone in the U.S.
Data logging disabled.
So when we were testing before, I think we need to modify the field of view a bit. 45 feels good, I think. I like the interior sounds for this car. $4 a.m. there, sheesh, man. Don't you have to sleep or find anything better to do? Victor, you can approve that comment. For some reason, SimRacer Flight Sim got triggered or something. So Ryzen 2700X. I use the 1800X in my black rig, or not black rig, my black tower. It's really nice, but I find that my Intel is a little better for gaming, I think. But yeah, it sounds like there's a little excess reverb in this car. But I like the sounds overall in this. I wish there was a slightly more pronounced transmission whine, though. But at least this is a satisfying sound. It's nothing that's like grating on my ears. And it sounds mixed properly, which is nice. Yeah, SimRacer Flight Sim, I guess sometimes the auto moderator thing can be a little over finicky. Oh man, turn 17. That will just beat you up if you're caught off guard, like I just was. So let's see what kind of lap we get here. Little wide. We're okay though. That just means next lap we can handle turn 1 a little better. But it's so weird driving this version of Sebring after driving iRacing and Virtua LM's versions for so long. Because this version of the track is basically the same, but very subtle differences that make you have to adjust your braking point and different patterns. There we go. Come on. Ah, big lockup. Flip that curb. Flip that one. Trail brake into that corner. Flip the curb. There we go. So I have to move my braking point for turn 1 in particular back from where I think it should be, because with iRacing and Virtua LM, the pit wall exit was a little further back. In this version, the 2018 Sebring, they extended the pit road, and especially the exit. So you have to keep that in mind. Okay, turn in, on the throttle. Thank you. I am not going to attempt to pronounce that name, but thank you for subscribing. Fun car, though. I like just about all superheroes. I'm just like a superhero geek fan. And yeah, I have Batman shirt. So yeah. Well, I'm not saying I am. You just haven't seen me and Batman in the same room. Little loose there. So yeah, this car is lively. I'm noticing that big time. Brake hard. Turn in. Growing up, Spider-Man was definitely my favorite superhero. Zero bandwidth. We finished testing the BTCC cars earlier, and it's basically, they correspond to the real-life cars. So some BTCC cars are front-wheel drive, some are rear-wheel drive. Man, turn 17 will just beat you up. Let's see. Two tenths up right now. There's the Porsche coming. Uh-oh. Okay, we got out in time. That could have been ugly. I'm going to turn up force feedback smoothing to 3. See how that feels. And then I want to check something. Stabilized horizon. I'm going to try that out in the race. See how that feels. So finish session. Let's see how we turn out. 3rd place. Okay. So it seems like the balance of performance is pretty well set up. Because let's see what cars. So pole sitter's an M8. 2nd is a Porsche. I'm in the not 4 GT. Ford is 4th. 5th, Beamer. Corvette 6th. So it seems like pretty balanced, all things considered, which is nice. So go to next session race. And about to get darker.
Data logging disabled.
Headlights now required. I'm going to skip the formation lap, though. So we're seeing some CPU usage. That's what the stuttering is. Gold tires, but we're taking the lead. So over the course of this race, we're going to see it go from dusk to night as I completely overshoot the corner. We're okay, though. So you can see the sun right there. But it's like this time of night where it just looks absolutely beautiful for rFactor 2. I wish they could maybe upgrade the clouds, make the clouds look a little better. They look a little dull just being gray. If they could add some color into that during a sunset, that would be nice. But this, in this terms of lighting, it really is great. How much was the pack, by the way? I want to say that this endurance pack was like $20 or $22 or something like that. This car was like $5. But both of them, they were sent to me for review and for footage. But it's tough because I do recommend this content. But admittedly, it is a little on the steeper side. That's something that you can't really deny. So I was talking about it before, and I think that Studio 397 should consider having a season pass or something now. They have some great content. They have some great content available for rFactor 2. But the paywall is starting to get a little more steep. It's a little more prohibitive for some. Gabes, this is the endurance pack, not the GT pack. GT pack was €14.99, but this was the endurance pack. That downshift sound is really satisfying, though. You just hear that punchy downshift. So, Hummus, this is the URD car. So I'm driving the URD Detroit, which is based off of the Ford GT GTE. The other cars I'm racing against are official Studio 397 content. So now it's getting darker. But yeah, now we're starting to see the lights light up the track. We're starting to see it get even darker. Really looking pretty nice, though. But yeah, this car is definitely on the snappier side, but it's manageable. So it's saying it's 7:45 p.m. right now in this, which sounds about right. This is simulating March. So this is simulating March time of year, so it gets darker earlier. Hard on the brake, turn in. Caught the grass a little bit. So yeah, it's interesting. So, that BMW we were test driving earlier, 15 seconds faster than this Ford GT. Yeah, seems legit. So we're about 3 seconds up on second. Make that 4. Have a little left rear quarter damage. Don't think it's going to affect anything on the car. Maybe a little arrow. But man, turn 17, that bump right there. always unsettles the car. So you have to keep on moving the braking point back because it's just so weird on this version of the track. Always keep that in mind. So if you try mentally associating yourself with that same idea where like you brake right when the pit road ends, you're going to likely not do well. And yeah, I kind of psyched myself out there. Let's just stay on the timing screen. BMW trying to make a move. Stick his nose in, but we get the drive off. Ford and the BMW were battling. Looks like they're side by side still. Who will end up on top? Looks like it's going to be the Ford. So we have a Ford closing in. Interesting thing I just noticed. On this car, look at the fuel meter. It looks like it's clipping on that display. So, yeah, there's always subtle things that need to be fixed. Kind of annoying that that's there, especially considering this is a paid mod. Hopefully they can fix it later. Really feeling the flat spots from my tire lockups now, because GTE cars, they do not have ABS, so you have to keep that in mind. Car revs too slow. I'm not sure about that. I'd have to compare. And totally overshot the corner. No bueno. So yeah, this is easily the most lively out of all the modern GTE cars. Huh, interesting, Rashid. Maybe they fixed that in the latest update? Not sure. Or maybe the latest update caused that issue? Get the rest of my arms for a minute. Yeah, Mike, it seems like the default setup for that AMG is a little on the understeery side. RSS GT pack coming to rFactor 2? That is exciting. I'm excited to see that. Because that RSS GT pack is so much fun in Assetto Corsa, and I think it could be even more fun in rFactor 2. Get to simulate that GT1 era. Yeah, it seems like these tires are starting to fall off a bit, I think. Actually, it looks like they're still good, but seems like this car's starting to get a little more understeery. Could also just be because of flat spotting. Right there, that bump. You can hear it, you can feel it, you can see it. And I'm saying that in the best possible way. But gotta say, this track is looking pretty gorgeous at night. Just seeing all the lights around the track, especially on that front straightaway, and seeing the crowds. Kind of wish there would be a campfire smoke or something like how it is in Gran Turismo, or even Forza, I think. Maybe even Project Cars 2. Hummus, I'd say yes. It is a massive improvement. The laser scan data and seeing the way they put it together, you see all the bumps you're going over, which is something that you can't really say about some other sims in the way they make their track. Because what Studio 397 was saying in their community day stream is that some sims, they'll have the laser scan point cloud mesh be the physical mesh, and then they will overlay a visual mesh over that makes it look like the track is smoother. This, according to Studio 397, which I kind of believe by seeing the track, the point cloud mesh and that visual mesh is the same. And that's one of the things that's nice. So yeah, Rashid, that's what I've been hearing and what I've been seeing in the early trailers and stuff. And I think that's one of the things that's missing from the sim racing titles. For the past sim racing generation, maybe even 2 generations, the sim racing environments felt kind of sterile. It's felt kind of clinical. For example, you see the crowds, but you're not really experiencing them. You're not really feeling the atmosphere of the race. The lights, they add a little bit of atmosphere, but we're not hearing any cheering. We're not hearing anything in the way of, like, the PA announcer. Like, for example, you go to a race, you're going to hear the PA announcer. You're going to hear announcements through the PA system. I don't know if you'd really hear them while driving, but there's that. And the race track is meant to be a living, breathing environment because there's so many people there and it's an experience. Race Room honestly captures that feeling the best. You hear the cheers, you hear the air horns, you hear the PA announcer, even though you can't really hear exactly what the PA announcer is saying. It's more gibberish than anything, but you can hear that and it adds depth, it adds authenticity, it adds realism. And that's one of the nice things. And that's one of the things I'm hoping comes in the next generation. Especially, let's make it simple. As simple as a spotter adds depth. As simple as a spotter crew chief communication with the driver adds depth to the racing experience. In a race, it's not going to be as simple as just driving with no communication or anything. In this day and age, every race car driver is required to have a radio and required to be in contact with their crew in one way or another. And that adds authenticity, it adds depth. And that's one reason why so many people, for example, like iRacing. iRacing, they really do a good job. They add the crew chief. They add that element that gives that extra level of depth and immersion. And sure, iRacing isn't the best in terms of simulation physics, but they've nailed the racing. And we are going to see more and more of that. And Mike, I am going to be doing a video series on that soon, but I want to make sure I have settings dialed in first before I give information to people. So I will work on that series, and I will get back to you about that. But man, this car's bumpy. Whoa. Whoa, Nelly. There we go. Alright, going to, I think this will be lap 10, because the lap counter system in rFactor 2 is weird, because when it says 9, you're actually starting lap 10. It tracks laps completed, not like the current lap you're on, which, it's okay, but it's kind of irritating. But I really do enjoy this car. Definitely is lively when you start off, but I think over the course of a run, it really comes in nicely, at least under the baseline setup. And it's not squirrely to the point where it's undrivable. It gives a little more excitement. Except, come on, get back on track. At least we're 12 seconds ahead of second place, so don't really have to worry about him. It's so confusing finding the proper AI level for different games. It's frustrating. I wish they had a more standardized system. For example, rFactor 2 even, it'll differ wildly between car and track. So, for example, Lime Rock Park, with, say, the Skip Barber, you run at one level, then here you run at a completely different level. It just seems like the AI aren't refined to the point where it is the consistency in the difficulty. Irritating, but it's life. You just have to learn and experiment. Yeah, understeer. Understeer galore. But yeah, now flat spots are getting really pronounced. I'm starting to feel it through the entire rig. This wheel is just shaking so violently, yet so subtly. I'm feeling the vibrations all the way in my butt. That's how strong these vibrations are. Hit this lap? You wish. I can make these tires last. So you can see about 88% on the right front. Everyone tells me I should try out the night mod for Assetto Corsa, and it's interesting. I'll try it out later on, but I'm not sure how much desire I have to really test that out. But who knows, I might just redefine the way I enjoy Assetto Corsa. Who knows? Excuse me. Whoa, Nelly. Okay. Oh, dang it, I hit the wall. You can see on the left front. Let's see if there's any lingering damage. No, looks like car's tracking straight. Looks like I had a little minor content. But yeah, flat spots, they will upset the car. That is a given. Actually, I heard a bit of the PA there. So I guess there is a little of the PA system in rFactor 2. Under braking where I wasn't hearing the engine notes. So I guess there is a little bit of that. So I think after this race, we will wrap up with one last race, BTCC race. That should be fun. And I'll use the Subaru because that was my personal favorite. Even though it might not do too well. So we'll do one last race and then wrap up the stream, I think. Just been streaming for over 2 hours now. Sheesh, time flies. Must be having fun. Right there. Just feel the car get so unsettled. Okay, use the full track there. Kind of curious right now. Does this have the traction control mapping settings? Yes, it does. Oh, we've been driving without traction control. And ABS, as I mentioned earlier, no ABS in this car. So let's hear if traction control kicks in. A little bit. So that I'll tame the car a little bit under throttle. As I said, a little bit. A little late on the turn in. go. Get the exit. So just saying it's almost midnight now in this sim. Two laps to go. You just see how squirrely this car is, but that's just what makes it so much fun. So I think for BTCC, we will bump up to maybe 95, 96% difficulty. Try to make it a little more exciting. Let's turn down the traction control. Feels like it's interfering a little too much. There we go. Stretch my arms out real quick. Whoa, no, 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 no! Oh, okay. Oh, that's gonna hurt. We lost the right front. Now we've added some drama. We have one lap to go. Can we still take home the win with 3 wheels? I don't know. That's a tall order. I don't think it's gonna happen, guys. Gotta be careful in turn 17. It'll kill you. It's an 11-second gap now. Let's see. Mainly right turns on for the rest of this race. Except we can't brake, we can't brake, we can't brake! No. No. Larg. Three wheels. No bueno. Tortoise won the race. Trying to limp our way to the finish. Car just won't turn though. Oh, that's kind of heartbreaking. We gotta see what happened there though. Exit to monitor. Let's go full screen. So here. It's that area right here. So We might have entered in a little too early. And these bumps. You can see I'm sliding here. I'm sliding here. And boom, you can see right there these bumps. Pretty remarkable, though. Watch how the skid marks get lighter when you go over the bump. And less pressure is on the tire. And then back on. Up. Off. That's remarkable detail right there. But yeah, that's heartbreaking, guys. So right there. Boom, 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 boom. Slide, slide, slide. Bam! Brutal damage. Brutal. DNF for idiocy. I think we can call it that. Okay, so we will do one last BTCC race. BTCC. So, where is it? Yeah, right here. This time we'll simulate 2017. Why not? Oh, which car is this? Is this... Yeah, I like the look of this one. Last one we did was blue. This one's red. SRP colors. And then let's see what track. Do I have Brands Hatch? I do not. I do not have Donington Park either. That's unfortunate. Those would have been my two choices. Lime Rock Park, how about? That should be fun. 96% for the race. And we'll do 10 laps. 5-lap qualifying. Yeah, that works. Should be an exciting event. Hope for the best. You like how the ambulance and fire engine is on turn 17. Well, yeah, that's like one of the most dangerous corners in most of motorsports, I think. To an extent. So again, this car uses 800 degrees rotation. That just seems high. Why is no one talking? Well, it is getting late. It is almost 8 o'clock in California. And also, I think a lot of people are starting to get bored.
Data
Who
logging
knows?
disabled.
Okay, so.
Data logging disabled.
Go on, guys. Let's add a little action to this. Speed limiter on. Excuse me. Okay, turn. We'll get a few laps in for qualifying. Should be an exciting race. This is a smaller circuit. Third gear in here. Control the car. Let's hope the gearing is proper. Shift into 6. We want to hit the red line just right now. Little loose out of that corner. Jump. Man, this car's quick. If I remember correctly, like driving the Mazda MX-5 Cup, it's about a minute around this track. This is a good 6 seconds faster, so not bad for a touring car. Little understeer. There we go. Looks like these cars are fast around LRP. Looks like we're gonna have a battle. Mike, I'd say it's worth it. It's fun. It's a bit of variety. Touring car is pretty good. Okay, 53.93. Yeah, no traction control or ABS in this. Oh, let's see. Yeah, by default it's 1 and 1, so that's off. So let's finish this session. Qualified second, 2/10 behind the leader. And then about a 1/10 and a half ahead of third. Next session, let's see how this goes. So it'll go into a night race. Fun stuff.
Data logging disabled.
Need a good start? I short shifted because I'm going to let a couple guys ahead of me, I think. So I think the windshield is slightly off in this car, but it's okay. Feels a little glazy. You can compare to, say, the side mirror, or not mirror, the side window. Side window looked a little less hazy than the front. Got the slipstream bit. So let's see if these guys will actually race each other, or is it just going to freight train? Because it looks like these two guys are connected nose to tail right now. Lost some ground on that corner. On the throttle, straighten up the wheel. A little oversteer on entry. Barely drag the brake a bit. Okay. Trying to go side by side. This freight train makes it a little difficult to pass. Oh, interior might be a little low poly. Okay, gotta run. Oh! Man, it's getting like really foggy or something. It seems like decent AI level. We've just finished our 4th lap. Let's check my damage real quick. Left side damage, we're okay though. Full throttle. Whoa! Ow. That hurt. Big time. I don't think I got hit from behind. It was just pushed a little too hard and little crap came out. My question is, can I catch these guys with a damaged car? I don't think so. Yeah, Victor, it's a crest there. And also, sometimes you run half the tires off. Still closing in on them, but I don't know if I have time. If I get a PB with a damaged car, I'm gonna be like, really? About 3 seconds back of the next guy. I'm just trying not to finish last. Wow, I just logged a personal best with a wrecked car. That's funny. Whoa! That saved the race right there. Yeah, I don't have time to or catch up to Buskirk. Yellow flag. All right. That was painful. Could have been worse, though. So, closing thoughts. So, BTCC mod, I recommend. The Datsun Bluebird, fun car. I'd say I recommend that too. That BMW GTO car, no way. That car is... So, which car was it again? Under Emsa Gto. So this BMW 320T, I do not recommend. It's tough. This model looks great. This car model looks great. And I guess that's a Batman car. Because Wayne Enterprises. So it's a Batman car. But I just can't recommend it. It was clocking lap times as fast as an LP2 car at Sebring. And it's just so crazy, it just doesn't work. So, unfortunately, I can't recommend that. The URD Detroit, so the EGT 2018, good car, fun, a little steep in price, though. That's the only drawback I have of it. But it's a fun car. Great sound, great handling, fun. Be careful driving it, though. So, summing up, BTCC recommend, Detroit EGT 2018 recommend, Datsun 510 I recommend, that BMW, no, unfortunately. But this was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun driving these cars, and hopefully in the near future I can set up races with subscribers. But until now, thanks for watching. I'm William Mars for the Sim Racing Paddock. And you have a great rest of your day or evening or wherever you're at.